a lot of times when they was talking about comparing Lomo to me, when you got I didn't have to have 500. I didn't have to have 500 amateur fights. And he done something that I wasn't able to do. He was able to win 2 gold medals, which is a huge accomplishment. Just to go to the Olympics is something huge in itself. And they said, well, guess what? He was the quickest to win a world title than any other fighter. Man, once you fight 300 amateur fights, you're a professional anyway. You're professional anyway. And you cannot compare a fighter like Lomo to me, or a fighter like Ali, or a fighter like Sugar Ray Leonard. You know the reason why? Because we won our first fight. We won our second fight. We won our third fight. So I'm not going to take nothing from Teofimo for what he did the other day. But remember, this guy already had a loss to Salida. And Salida wasn't, quote unquote, the best guy in the world. He was solid. And he won a title before, but he wasn't the best guy in the world.
Now, we all know that Vasily Lomachenko had no business being compared to any of these guys, especially somebody like a Ali or a Sugar Ray Leonard, man. It's downright disrespectful on multiple levels. And the same thing that goes with Floyd. These guys are cut from 2 different cloths. They have 2 totally different careers. Their caliber, their pedigree is completely different. You know, if anything, one thing you could say about Floyd would have fought Salido again. Any question marks that Floyd has on his resume, he went back and put a check on it. You know, that's one thing that separates them, is mentality. But one of the things I want to talk about is how the boxing industry uses Floyd Mayweather's name but show him no respect. What I mean by that, the boxing industry uses Floyd's name to build up the reputation of other fighters, but they don't show no appreciation or give credit to that same name that they use to build up these fighters. What do I mean? It's something that I call sitting these fighters on the shoulders of your legends. Okay, so let me break this down. What I mean by sitting them on the shoulders of your legends. Okay, notice when you talk about the greats, you know, or you want somebody to blow, or, you know what I'm saying, just name down the greats to you, you know, there's always a few names that's always going to come up, you know, in no particular order, no particular pattern, but these names will always be mentioned. It will be the Alis, it will be the Mike Tysons, it will be the Floyds, it will be the Roy Joneses. You know what I'm saying? It always be compared. He's the next Mike Tyson. He's the next Floyd Mayweather. He's the next Roy Jones. He's the next Ali. He's the next this. He's that. They always say that. So what I mean by putting these fighters on the shoulders of your legends is simply this. When they want to tell you how great a fighter is, okay, they will use these legends to let you know as comparison of how great they are. Hence, Triple G gets compared to Marvin Hagler. All right. The reason why I say they put their fighters on the shoulders of your legends is because the same fighters that come from this talent pool and background from the urban neighborhoods, they never get these comparisons. Haven't you noticed that? They never get these comparisons. But the only time boxers are compared to the great legends of the past is when they're European. This is a fact. You had to have noticed it by now. Okay? Vasily Lomachenko, Ali, and this, that, and the third. Triple G, Marvin Hagler, another sinful thing to say. But the point is, with all these new and upcoming fighters out here, you know, coming up, when have you seen any of the Shakur Stevensons, any of the Javante Tank Davises of the world, anybody from the PBC side, from anywhere? When have these guys ever been compared to their own legends? They're never mentioned, but they're quick to mention these legends to build up these foreign ass fighters. So this is what I mean is they set them on the shoulders of your legends. Please note this, and this is going to help bring it together. Please note, you never hear them say, this is the next Jack Dempsey. This is the next Rocky Marciano. This is the next Willie Pep. This is the next. They never use those fighters in comparison, but they'll use your legends to help build up the reputation of these foreign fighters. This is the same thing that they do to Floyd, okay, on a daily damn basis, okay? If you notice, one of the normal one protocols for some new boxer hitting the scene to grab some attention is to do what? Put Floyd's name in his mouth and express how he doesn't like him or how he messes up boxing, because that kind of shit gets attention. All of them do it. Look at Virgil Ortiz. What did he do as soon as he got on scene? Mention Mayweather's name. Why? Because number one, that brings you a certain kind of attention, and people like for you to hate Mayweather. Period. But please notice, when this fight was coming up with Teofimo Lopez and Vasily Lomachenko, please notice how they were telling you this is going to be another Canelo Alvarez and Floyd Mayweather scenario, hinting at Lomachenko is going to school Teofimo Lopez like Floyd Mayweather schooled Canelo. But at the same time, they complain about that fight. They said that fight was boring. They said Floyd ran, even though he dog walked him. They say Canelo was too young. They had everything to complain about that fight. But do you see when it's time to build up one of these foreign fucking fighters, what do? Oh, this is going to be another Canelo and Floyd Mayweather situation. Do you see how they use his name to big up these foreigners, but they don't show no respect for the man himself? Period. That's all that they do. See, Floyd's name is good to build up the reputation of other fighters in comparison, but the name alone, oh, he fucked up boxing. Oh, he did this to boxing. Oh, these boxers are cherry picking because of him. Oh, he's horrible for the sport. But as soon as they want to tell you that you're dealing with an elite fighter on your hands, he might be the next Floyd. But I thought Manny Pacquiao was 10 times better than Floyd. I thought Manny Pacquiao is the career that people prefer over Floyd. But they never compare nobody to Manny Pacquiao. Never. They never want to see Manny Pacquiao come out of retirement and fight nobody. They don't. So if he's so much great, then how come there's never comparisons to Manny Pacquiao's name like there is to Floyd? Like I said, they use this man's name to build up other people's reputation, but they show no respect for the man him fucking self. There's no way that you haven't noticed that by now. Even Canelo Alvarez, right? Look at this. He's demonstrating Floyd Mayweather-like defense. You see how they still use his name? But they claim everybody's so much better than Floyd. If Floyd is not the fucking pinnacle, I can't tell, because y'all always run to him for what's wrong with boxing, and y'all always run to him for what's good in boxing. So if this name don't run boxing, I can't fucking tell. Because you're showing that you view him as an all-time great while trying to discredit him. How you can discredit somebody who's beaten more world champions than anybody in boxing history, minus the GOAT, Sugar Ray Leonard, I do not know. How can you try to criticize somebody who has the highest punching accuracy in boxing history? I don't know. How you could try to criticize somebody who has taken less punishment than any boxer in history? I don't know. And somebody who people claim other people are so much more entertaining than Floyd. If they're so much entertaining than Floyd, how come nobody has beat his pay-per-view numbers? How does the most boring fighter in the world have better pay-per-view numbers than all the fighters that you say are 10 times more entertaining than him? How do you do that? I don't know. On top of one point in time, being the highest paid athlete in the world, I don't know. But one thing's for sure, the boxing industry uses this man's name towards no end. Golden Boy uses the shit out of his name. Any young and up and coming, I would say, it seems to be Latino fighter The only thing, as soon as he steps on the scene, he expressed how he doesn't like Mayweather and how this is that. And that's how he starts his career. Because it's the same thing Virgil Ortiz did when he bust on the scene. Same thing Ronda Rousey did. Same thing Conor did. Because his name brings attention. So they use his name for attention and clout. But when it comes to the man's name by himself, they don't want to give credit for what he's done for the boxing world. And that's the truth. So no, these guys shouldn't be compared to him. Because number one, you don't appreciate the motherfucker. This is why Floyd goes and tour over in the UK every, I don't know, maybe somebody in the UK in my comment section can tell you. He tours over there, I don't know, every some years and sells out. And sells out. Because over there, he's appreciated. Over there, they love boxing. Not here in the fucking America. So, no. Vasily Lomachenko had no fucking business being compared to these guys. But this is a reflection of history. It's a reflection of history. Let me tell you guys something that you all know, but maybe nobody articulated it in a way for you guys to digest it on a massive level. Okay? Whenever you take a Caucasian and you can get them to do something that predominantly black and brown people do very well, they always elevate that person to the greatest of all times. Don't get offended. Look at history. Okay? Plenty of people was doing rock and roll and all that stuff before Elvis. You know what I'm saying? Elvis stole his moves from Chuck Berry. You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog was stolen from a black woman. He stole a whole bunch of shit. And he wasn't the first. But notice how as soon as he do it, he's the king. He's the greatest of all times. Hold on. Let's take it to hip hop. And even though I love the fuck out of Eminem, you know, once again, as soon as you get a Caucasian and do something that predominantly black and brown people do well, they promote them to the greatest of all times. All these rappers, you know what I'm saying? You done heard lyricists after lyricists, hardcore lyricists. As soon as Eminem come on the scene, what is it? He's the greatest of all times, the best rapper that ever lived. Okay, now let's move it right on over to boxing. You've seen plenty of boxers. You've seen plenty of styles, fast feet, fast hands, or something like that. All right? As soon as Vasily Lomachenko comes on the scene, this might be the greatest boxer we have ever seen. This might be the greatest boxer since Ali. There is nobody like him in the world. He is truly the best boxer in the world. Let Joe Rogan tell it. So, once again, you can see what I say has merit. Okay? Anytime you get them to do something that majority of that brown and black people do well and they can do it, they elevate them to the greatest of fucking all times. Now, people get offended, but that is just the honest truth. And this is the reason why we can't get around a lot of these issues, because people want to tiptoe over uncomfortable shit. You know, but you really need to address it. That's the problem. And they tried to apply this same principle with Vasily Lomachenko. Now, Vasily is a good fighter, but he was never what they made him out to be. And now the boxing world is kind of embarrassed, because now they realize that we look like fools, because now people realize we really overhyped this guy. Vasily Lomachenko is he's a residue left over from HBO. When they was trying to build the same thing they did during the Jack Johnson days, during Jack Jeffries, and you know what I'm saying? All them, that's the same thing that they doing now. Okay? The image must be protected at all costs. When Jack Johnson was beating up on his white opponents, they would stop them from recording the fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, turn the cameras off. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to air this. You know, his victories caused riots. His victories caused innocent black people to die. You know, nobody else has a history like that in boxing. That's one thing that people don't want to talk about. Nobody has a history like the black folks do in boxing, because you actually died. Innocent people actually died behind one of your fighters being victorious. Nobody else can say that. Nobody can say that, a white guy beat a black guy and black people took to the streets and was hanging and killing white folks. Nobody can say that a white guy beat a Mexican and Mexicans took to the street and killed a whole bunch of white folks, or the same thing in a vice versa. Nobody can say that, but you are the only group of people to have a particular history where you have been physically beaten, attacked, and some of your family members killed because somebody that looked like you, fist got raised at the end of a boxing match. That's all I got for now, man. Bruce Wayne, I'm out.